So let's talk equipment. No, let's first talk about the space that you use to record. This is really dependent. Was I talking in English? I feel like this is a different language. I was talking in English. Okay. When this is dependent on the kind of podcast that you're going to have. Okay. So if it's a solo podcast, then it's one mic. You only need one mic. If it's interview-based podcasts and you have an additional guest, then you need two mics. But if you think that maybe you might need more people on your podcast, then you might think about at least 3 mics. 3 to 4 mics. At least 3 to 4 mics if you're thinking about adding other people. But normally having an additional mic and maybe another emergency mic, maybe you can rent that you need at least 2 to 3 mics. So four it's too much. But that really depends if you're having either too many people on your podcasts. That's if you're co-hosting, then you definitely need 2 mics. But if you're co-hosting with 3 people, which is actually very rare, then you need 3 mics. But if you're co-hosting, 2 mics is really good, so that you can balance out the voices. If you are anticipating a lot of people, then I think the highest you can go when it comes to having a lot of people on the podcast is having 5 people. 5 people is too much, man. But I've not seen a podcast that has 5 people with 5 different mics. I mean, hey, how much money do you have? Anyway, plus it's just, I don't know, a lot of people talking, it's hard to follow. Yeah. So 5, I think, is the maximum that can happen on a podcast, and I've not seen a podcast with 5 mics so far. All right, so mics. This is in-person recording that you need different mics. If it's one person, you need one mic, or whatever. Mic is the most important thing. The second most important thing is at least one monitor. This can be a normal headphone or an actual monitor. So you can use either, the best thing to use is, like, the cheapest way to go is using earphones, like the wired ones, which is better than the wireless ones when it comes to audio. Monitoring and talking through the audio, especially monitoring, just something that describes you. You need something that actually makes you know everything that is going on. You can listen to all the things, but the higher quality the monitor or the headphone, the better for you, because you can listen to all the things that people can come across by. But most people actually listen to podcasts on normal headphones, so it won't be really an issue if you still monitor your podcast on normal headphones or earphones. So that is good for editing, especially, and when monitoring when someone is talking, when you're still talking. It's good for everyone to monitor their own audio so that they know when they are too high, when they cannot be heard, or whatever. So the headphones help you when you're talking. You can hear how far you are or how near you are from the mic, and if there is any interfering background noise that is being captured by the mic. So it's good to have one person, maybe you, to be the one monitoring. If you're the only person, I am the only one who's monitoring my audio, for example. Or you can have an additional person who's maybe just specialized, is not part of the podcast, but they're just monitoring what's going on with the podcast. You can also have every single person monitor each other podcast, especially co-hosts, to have everyone has their own headphones to monitor the podcast. But yeah, that's basically it. So that is in terms of mics and headphones when it comes to in-person interviews and solo, or podcast with co-host or podcast with guest. You will need, if it's remote podcasting, this is the tricky part. If you have a high budget, then you can always send the mic, good mic that you want to prefer, to your guests to use it, maybe buy, then refund, then it can be shipped to whatever place you want. You can always ship the mics to different places if the guests are not too far, and it's easy to like it's cheaper to ship. Then it's something viable in your budget, then the better, because the audio has to be really good. But if that is not something viable, then you don't have to really worry, because you can always, of course, it reduces the audio quality, but you can have these online studios that I'm going to talk about in the next video that will help in recording. So you can always do that, and that with that you can always have now someone. If you're having a co-host, then you both people who are far away, you really need mics, because this is someone who's constantly going to come back. But if it's one of guests, then it's a lot of work, unless you really need that. You're really desperate to have a very good audio. But a normal microphone, like a lapel microphone, which is actually affordable, or just a normal microphone, like the headphones microphone that comes with it, or the earphones microphone that comes with it, that's good enough. You don't have to really think about the micro that comes with the device that you're using, either the phone or the computer, which is actually not a very good mic. But the mic for the phone is good enough. But if you have a headphone or earphone, that's a better mic to use, because it helps with the focusing the voice on the person, and a bit of noise cancellation over there, background noise cancellation. The other thing with remote recording when it comes to mics and headphones, there are platforms that you use to record that will necessarily need that mic. There's one or two that will not necessarily need that headphone, but most of them will recommend a headphone, so that you don't have echo, it's easier to get a crispy audio and all that. So the quality of the video in this sense, when it comes to remote, that now will depend on the studio that someone uses, which I'll talk about that later. But when it comes to headphones, that's important. If it's possible that someone can get, especially with most audios, that's very important. Because if you have headphones, then you have a mic that comes with the headphones, unless it's a monitor which doesn't have a mic. Yeah, it's just a monitor that you don't talk into it, so it doesn't come with a mic, a pre-installed mic. But if it's a normal headphone, it probably has a mic, and mics vary from one monitor to the other, and the better mic is the one that comes with the wired. Like if you have a headphone, it has the wired option. Ask someone to get the wired option on, so that it has better audio. Sometimes once in a while you get a wireless headphone or earphone that has good audio, which is, you have to compare, you have to play around and see which has a better audio compared to the other. I think that's in terms of mics, and like that's in terms of equipments, like basic equipments. But when you grow, you might, because that's the basic. A laptop. You need a laptop, man. You need a laptop. You need a laptop that has space. You need a storage space, either on cloud, maybe using Google or Dropbox or Anchor. Anchor is a good storage space. Just to store backup work. You can use a flash to store. You can use a hard drive, external hard drive to store your work. But that comes with the risk of losing the device or it getting damaged. But with cloud, it's safer. It's a better backup. The other disadvantage that comes with that, but it's a way better backup than the rest of the backups that you have. So you need a laptop to, depending on the studio that you're using, if you're using whatever. But if you don't need a laptop, you're just recording the thing, then you need an audio recorder, which that's additional money. So you need an audio recorder that if you're doing in the audio recorder, you have to think about, okay, how many things can it pick? How many ports does it have to pick a mic? How many mics can it pick at once? Those are things someone has to think about. What kind of port does it have? How much space does it have? Battery, you have to think about all those things. how long can the battery last, are there other disadvantages that come with, having a recorder that you can't, you know, really go to the specific place that you want to monitor. Just you have to really think about that. But a recorder is very handy when it comes to um, just recording random people at a different place, because you don't have to carry a bulky laptop. But a laptop is very important, because the laptop, it comes with a free softwares for editing, which I will talk about later on. Variable sources of studios that you can use when it comes to a laptop compared to just having a phone. A phone is the best thing that you can do with a phone is just Anchor. There isn't much you can do with a phone, which it's okay. So with Anchor, you can choose which microphone the thing is using. Either you can use a lapel microphone or whatever. So those are the number of microphones that you can use. Let's go to the types of microphones that you can use.